Hey, we're back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. Joining us, Eddy County Commissioner Fred Beard. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, you got any sun, or is it more of this cloudy stuff down where your way today?
Well, it's cloudy stuff. It's trying to mist a little bit, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
We could use a lot more of that if we could get it. But,
well, let's hope we do.
Yeah.
Let's hope we do.
Yeah, it could. At least it washed the dust off the grass where the cattle could eat it a little better.
There you go. Well, I want to ask you something about the election results yesterday in Eddy County. I did some quick math, and you tell me where I'm wrong. But according to a couple of census places I went to on the internets, we've got about 63,000 people in Eddy County. About 26.5% of them are below the age of 18. So you have approximately 45,000 eligible voters in Eddy County, and a whopping 9% of eligible Eddy County voters, and that's not registered voters, Fred. That's just, if you just take the population that could be registered to vote, about 4,406 people cast ballots yesterday, about 9% of the eligible population. That is very disappointing to me. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but it just seems like so few people care about and turn out to vote in elections anymore.
Well, it is disappointing. I didn't realize those numbers. Somehow I'm not surprised. We were basically just school board elections, and too many people don't pay attention to that. I will say, without knowing this, I bet it's an improvement over the last school board election with all the controversy going on over the CRT stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard it said many times, the school teachers and their families usually is who does and does not elect the school board. There's a lot to be said to that because too many people ignore it. So
that's true. Now, I don't know what the percentage of registered voters the turnout is, what 4,406 represents, but it's I'm going to guess it's an even lower percentage. It might be a little higher percentage of registered voters, but as a percentage of the overall population, it doesn't seem like much.
That is disappointing because it is. I haven't really even kept up with who won these school board elections. I've been glued to what's going on the East Coast, being a political junkie. I've been kind of bouncing off the walls here.
Yeah, I saw a story. Maybe you might get a kick out of this. I think this was on it was on Fox News. I think in one of the New Jersey races, not just the governor's race, which is too close to call right now.
Yes.
But there was there's some down ballot races, and a truck driver who spent like $200 potentially could win one of the legislative seats in New Jersey. And I thought, whoa, let's hear it for the little guy, Maybe something like that can actually happen.
Yes, and you can see a lot of that going on, and I'm surprised that there wasn't a bigger turnout right here in Eddy County. One correlation I've taken away from watching all of the Virginia and New Jersey stuff, the same kind of thing is going on right here in New Mexico. The same thought pattern. The only problem was McAuliffe, I'll give him credit for one thing, he was brutally honest when he got up and said, the teachers should control everything. The parents have no right to have an input in the election process. And right here in New Mexico, we tried to get the comment period extended for what was going on with CRT. And instead of extending it, they just canceled the public input. I see a lot of similarities here. Let's hope we have the same similarities next November. But I'm pleased to see that the country's had enough of all of this junk. So I don't think anybody. I think a lot of the people that voted for the Democrats, a year ago, were voting against Trump, and they're not real happy with what they're getting from Biden. So maybe there's a turnaround coming.
Well, and a lot of that depends on what Trump does. I mean, if Trump jumps back in, you might have the same type of dynamic going on because, there's a lot of people that love Donald Trump, but there's also a lot of people that don't like Donald Trump and are pretty vocal about it, too. Don't know how that's going to affect New Mexico. Now, in New Mexico, probably the highest profile, well, I say highest profile, the mayoral race in Albuquerque, which is the biggest city in New Mexico, the incumbent won there, but wasn't the guy that ran against him a radio talk show host?
I did not pay real close attention to that.
Yeah. Well, you said you were a political
could,
junkie. I didn't know if you were watching that one at all.
Well, I was watching more of the national stuff, but being a political junkie, I can't not get one snarky comment in. Trump's already won that presidency twice. I think he could probably win it the third
time. He'd be the first since FDR to win 3 elections. That could be our campaign. And there was something else I learned in the Eddy County election last night. I did not know this. I did not know that Dale Taylor's real first name is Clovis.
Dale Taylor. That must not have been on my ballot.
No, he was Watershed Supervisor for Cottonwood Walnut Creek Watershed Board, and he ran unopposed.
They put all that stuff on the ballot. I did pay attention to the soil and water election, being as I'm on that board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. That's never been an elected position in the past that just came around that had to be on the ballot. When did they pass that law? Anybody that gets a mill levy has to have an election. So, but I think this is the second time that has happened. So,
isn't that funny?
But
the state of New Mexico has all kinds of mill levies to fund schools, but they don't have an elected board for the state school board anymore. That's all.
Well, when that came about was under Bill Richardson.
Yep.
There used to be an elected school board, and getting back into politics, all they've got to do is put a constitutional amendment on the ballot, and it seems to pass. But it was under Richardson that they put that amendment on the ballot, and it passed. And what it did is it eliminated the state school board election and made it an appointed position by the governor.
Yep.
There's more to it than, that's mostly true, I would like to say.
Yep.
But anyway, the elected positions went away, and the appointed positions by the governor is who's running that deal now.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one, Fred. I got a phone call yesterday from a gentleman who was getting ready to vote. And he was looking at his ballot, and he had the Soil and Water Supervisor 3 Central Valley Soil and Water Conservation Board, and that was a contested seat. The incumbent, Dean Lee, and the challenger was Andrew G. Kennedy. And the question to me, because it was a nonpartisan position, the question from the voter to me was, what is the party affiliation of the two people that were running for office? And this particular voter was voting to support the candidates from his party. And in a nonpartisan, that's not known. I later found out the party affiliation of these two individuals, but in an election like that, it's a nonpartisan. You don't know the party affiliation of the people that are running for that type of a position. But I thought that was an interesting phone call from somebody who was making a concerted effort to support candidates from his party when he went in to vote yesterday.
Yes, and in this day and age, everything's partisan. But finding out affiliation is not a difficult thing to do. I mean, a quick phone call to the county clerk's office, and you can find that out. People that are more proficient than I am on the internet can look those voter rolls up and find that out pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. But
so it's a knowable deal, but they just don't put it on the ballot. That goes back to, trying to make everything nonpartisan, and that just, I guess, back in the day, that was a possibility. But
right. Well, and the point that the caller that called me yesterday was making, which I think is a valid point, was kind of what you just said. Everything is kind of partisan today. If I don't know anything about this thing I'm supposed to vote on, or these people I'm supposed to vote on, if I don't know anything about it at all, at least I would like to know their party affiliation, because that would be something that some people would consider a deciding factor if they don't know anything about the individuals themselves. And
that would certainly be an indicator of where they come from politically and what they stand for and what they do not stand for. So it's a very distinct difference between the R's and the D's in this day and time.
But you wonder, is that really important when it comes to the Soil and Water Conservation Board? And I guess nowadays, maybe it is.
I would say that it is. What the Soil and Water Boards do is basically support agriculture with things like government grants for irrigation system and for brush control and that type of thing. Some fences. I know we do some stuff up in the Guadalupes. We help a lot of ranchers. Well, the political party that's very much opposed to anything agriculture, particularly when it comes to meat, is one party, and the one that kind of supports all that is another party. And, I think anybody can figure that out pretty quick, which is which.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you know these individuals personally, and then maybe the political affiliation doesn't mean that much. But like I said, from this gentleman's perspective, he didn't know the people. And so the only thing he wanted to know then is, well, since I don't know them, which one's the D and which one's the R,
There is a big difference now. This is what's the old cliche, this ain't your daddy's Democrat Party anymore.
That's true. That's true.
Back in the day, it's, the predominant registration in Eddy County for years, up until just a few years ago, was overwhelmingly Democrat. Being the conservative population that we are, it's taken a while, but that registration has changed to the point that now it's almost 2-to-1 Republican over Democrat here in Eddy County.
Yeah.
And our roots are agriculture, so.
That's right. Now, in the race for the Central Valley Soil and Water Board Supervisor 3, which was between Dean Lee and Andrew Kennedy, what it looked like to me, and I didn't call the clerk's office, I didn't think of that. What it looked like to me is that Mr. Lee is a registered Democrat and Mr. Kennedy is a registered Libertarian. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And Mr. Kennedy won that seat 668 to 632. So we'll have to see if that is indeed true. But for my little bit of research, that's what I found. So
that may have everything to do with the R's and the D's. Libertarian, I think would consider myself, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble here, more libertarian than I am Republican. But I don't know of many libertarians that get elected to anything. So
yeah. Well, if it's true, they're gonna chalk one up to the Libertarians.
That's good. I'll have to check into that.
So, hey, let me take a break for the news real quick, and then we come back. You want to talk about the county commission meeting?
Yes.
Very good. I figured you would.
Maybe I can get myself back on track here instead of getting myself in trouble.
All right. Fred Beard, County Commissioner, is with us. We're going to rejoin him in just a moment.
Now for a Pecos Valley